Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're going to unpack the magnet of success to learn how to stop, exhaustingly chasing success and instead start attracting it directly to you. We're going to look at the very specific mindsets, habits, and attitudes that highly successful people actually use to build a life of purpose. It's essentially a roadmap for completely changing how you operate day to day. So let's just get right into it.
So let me ask you directly, have you ever looked around and felt like other people just kind of stumble into luck while you remain totally stuck? It's a super common feeling. I mean, from the outside looking in, it looks like they have all the luck in the world, right? As if success just magically fell right into their lap. But our source material completely shatters this illusion right out of the gate. Success doesn't just happen. It is absolutely 100% not an accident.
Okay, let's dive into this. The prevailing myth out there is that people just stumble into pure luck, but the reality is entirely different. You literally have to become a success magnet. You see, success is not just about what you happen to have in your bank account. It's fundamentally about who you are and the person you become in the process of going after your goals. Success is attracted to very specific types of people, and the amazing news here is that you can absolutely develop every single trait required to become one of those people.
And that brings us to phase one, owning your life's direction. Look, before you can attract anything, you've got to be firmly in the driver's seat. Taking 100% responsibility for your life can sound a little scary at first, I get it, but it is incredibly empowering. When you take that responsibility, you're declaring that your success or your failure depends entirely on you. You have to stop blaming others, stop making excuses. Highly successful people never just wait around for things to happen, they proactively make them happen. You literally have to erase the words "I can't" from your vocabulary and replace them with "how can I?" Just doing that instantly shifts your brain out of a state of defeat and into a state of proactive problem solving.
Right, so once you actually take responsibility, you need a direction. But, and this is a big but, it has to be your authentic direction. Consider this great anecdote from the text about a woman who had it all by society's standards. We're talking the high-paying corporate job, the nice car, the huge house, yet she was absolutely miserable. Why? Because her true dream, deep down, was simply to open a small bookstore. It wasn't until she finally accepted her own authentic goal that her entire life changed and she became totally energized and passionate. Your goals have to be yours, not your parents', and definitely not society's expectations.
So once you've got that clear, authentic direction locked in, you need to cement it through a really simple three-step process. First, writing your goals down on actual paper is genuinely a magical process. It forcefully tells your subconscious mind to pay attention. You can't just casually think about it, you need to write it down, read those goals every single morning the moment you wake up, and read them every single night before you go to sleep. This is exactly how you keep your internal magnet perfectly aligned with your destination.
All right, let's move right along to phase two, bridging those goals with daily action.
Our source warns us that goals without action are really just wishes. We live in a world that is totally obsessed with instant gratification, but if you want to attract real, lasting success, you cannot rely on quick fixes. To bridge that gap, you need discipline. It's the literal bridge connecting what you want with what you actually achieve. It's what gets you out of bed early to work on your dream when every fiber of your being would much rather sleep in. Remember, there are no elevators to success. You have to take the stairs. And discipline? That's what keeps your feet moving up those steps, day after day.
Think of it like a massive construction project. Every single daily action is just a single brick. Now, on its own, one brick doesn't look like much, right? It might even feel totally insignificant. But if you consistently lay a brick every single day, without fail, eventually you're going to build a wall and then an entire house. Success isn't some massive overnight event. It's simply the natural result of small, consistent actions layered over time.
Which naturally leads us into phase three, cultivating your mindset and really embracing failure. Your actions are entirely driven by your thoughts. It's kind of like a garden. You have to ruthlessly pull the weeds of negativity so the positivity can flourish. And this brilliantly illustrates that point. Look at the story of two shoe salesmen who were sent to a developing country. They walked into the exact same situation. The first salesman saw 0 shoes and immediately called the situation hopeless. The second one saw 0 shoes and saw an incredible opportunity because everyone needed shoes. This just goes to show how two people can have vastly different outcomes based purely on their attitude towards the exact same situation. A positive attitude isn't about, just blindly ignoring problems. It's about facing challenges with the absolute belief that you can overcome them.
And a huge part of that winning attitude is how you view setbacks. Think about the number 10,000 for a second. That is the estimated number of times Thomas Edison failed before successfully inventing the light bulb. But when asked about it, he didn't see himself as a failure at all. He simply said he had successfully found 10,000 ways that won't work. It completely proves that failure isn't the opposite of success. It's a critical, totally unavoidable part of finding exactly what does work.
Or consider an equally mind-blowing number, 1009. That is how many times Colonel Sanders was rejected when he drove from restaurant to restaurant trying to sell his chicken recipe. And the wildest part of that story? He was 65 years old when he started. Imagine if he had just given up at rejection number 100 or 500. Persistence is the ultimate separator between true achievers and mere dreamers. You absolutely must be willing to learn, adjust, and just try again.
Okay, moving right along, we enter phase 4, building your success ecosystem.
Here's the truth. You simply can't rely entirely on sheer willpower. You have to actively design your external environment and your daily routines to lock in your long-term success on autopilot. As Aristotle famously put it, we are what we repeatedly do. Excellence, then, is not an act, but a habit. Success is built on those incredibly mundane daily routines, waking up early, exercising, reading, continuous learning. The text notes that it takes roughly 21 days to form a new habit. So the challenge for you is to pick just one success habit today, like right now, and focus entirely on locking it in for the next 3 weeks.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is the math behind that consistency. 37 times. If you commit to improving by just 1% every single day, the compounding effect means you will be 37 times better by the end of the year. That's huge. It's not about taking massive, exhausting leaps. It's about tiny, continuous improvements in your daily ecosystem.
And hey, a massive piece of that ecosystem is exactly who you choose to surround yourself with. It's often said you're the average of the 5 people closest to you. So look around. Do your peers inspire you to be better, or do they kind of hold you back? Self-education will make you a fortune for sure, but surrounding yourself with the right mentors accelerates that growth immensely. Finding someone who has already achieved what you want can quite literally shave years off your learning curve.
And finally, that brings us to phase 5, the long game of success.
Everything we've talked about today really builds to this, ensuring the success we are building is sustainable, deeply balanced, and actually fulfilling over the course of your entire life. The text makes a fantastic point here. Working 80 hours a week while your physical health completely fails and your relationships fall apart, that is an incomplete picture of success. Money is just a tool. True wealth requires balancing your career, your relationships, your body, and your mind. And underpinning all of this is integrity, doing the right thing even when absolutely no one is watching. Trust is everything in this world, and a short-term win without integrity is never, ever going to bring you lasting fulfillment.
Part of playing that long game is extreme adaptability, especially since the world changes so fast. The source shares this great story of the buggy whip companies. When cars were invented, most of them went out of business overnight. But one company realized, actually, scratch that, we aren't in the buggy whip business, we're in the transportation accessory business. They pivoted to car accessories and absolutely thrived. You have to be incredibly stubborn about your ultimate goals, but highly flexible and adaptable in the methods you use to get there. So, the crucial point is that in our modern instant gratification world, patience is practically a rare superpower. Think of it like a growing tree. You plant the seed, you water it, and for a long time you see absolutely nothing happening above the ground. But below the surface, the roots are growing deep and strong. You have to keep putting in the work even when the immediate results are totally invisible. And hey, don't forget to celebrate the small wins along the way to keep that momentum going.
So what does this all mean? Ultimately, success is not something you chase down the street. It is something you attract by the person you choose to become. You have this incredible potential inside you, but it has to be nurtured. Starting right now, today, you can expand your knowledge and step out of your comfort zone. Success is not an accident, it's a choice. So what choice are you going to make today? Thank you so much for hanging out with me for this explainer, and I will catch you in the next one.